Hi, folks. I'm going to talk about changes that have occurred in how we think about favorite games over the years. Now, this is related to game design, but is not specifically about designing a game because you can't decide to design a game that's going to be a favorite for somebody. It's just going to happen. If it's a good game, it's going to happen. Even games that aren't particularly grand, someone is going to think of it as their famous game in almost every instance. I remember my first game that was published was a Stratego development, a fantasy game. It had a circular hierarchy, much more than basic Stratego does, and there were dice rolls in connection with spellcasting. And the publishers, HP Gibson's, this is like 1980 or thereabouts, 1979. Anyway, they changed the game to match some other games of theirs that were developments from Stratego. And that kind of messed it up. Nonetheless, I got a message or a letter, one or the other, from a Frenchman many years later saying that it was his favorite game. And that's the kind of thing that happens. But I'm talking about favorite games in general. When I was a young gamer, I had favorite games, and I wanted to play those games again and again. And today, sometimes people still have favorite games, but in an awful lot of cases, their favorite game is whatever one they're playing right now or that they've been playing recently. And that's especially true for video games because single player video games are puzzles. And once you finish them, you're done with them because you've solved the puzzle. And so why would it be your favorite game anymore? Because there's nothing more you can get out of it. And that's generally true of puzzles. Yes, you might play it once or twice again sometime, but you're not going to play it 25 times or 100 times or 500 times. I know people who played their favorite game, Britannia in this case, over 500 times. I haven't played it 500 times, but they have. So beating the game, as the phrase goes, which is a result of it being a puzzle, really takes away the aspect of favorite games. I remember asking my video game design students to write a review of their favorite game, and immediately the question came up, well, I don't really have a favorite game. Or it turned out their favorite game was whatever one they were playing now. So I had to modify that some because favorite games are not what they used to be. Nowadays, people tend to play games 1 to 3 times, and that's true of tabletop games as well as video games. Now, of course, there are exceptions in video games where you have something like EVE Online. You may only play that game once, but you're playing it for years, even decades. I'm talking about a game that has a finite ending and you play it a few times and then you're done with it. So speaking of favorite games, you have to keep in mind that there's been this big change in how things work. And that's not something that anybody legislated or something that anybody controlled. It just happened, as is true of much of what happens in the game industry and in life in general. Thanks for listening.